Okay, and now we're going to get to what is basically considered the dark era of Survivor. This is basically worth like 5 or 6 seasons, maybe except for season 25, but seasons 21, 22, 24, and 26 are seasons that the majority of people would have at the bottom 5 of the season, or think are some of the worst seasons of Survivor. And while maybe a couple of them do have the fans, and well, I will say they do have their moments, they do have their good players, yeah, I'm starting to see why. So I feel for this era of Survivor, I'm just kind of going to rush through these a little bit. And also mostly because I don't think my opinion really has changed much on these seasons after rewatch. I think my hits are mostly the same as how I originally felt about them. Maybe I appreciate one aspect a bit more. So if I don't talk about too much about these seasons, because, well, I kind of want to get through them because they're pretty bad seasons, so bear me for. But let's quickly start off with Survivor Nicaragua, which of course was the season that ended after Here for his villain. So of course there was definitely a lot of hype in Nicaragua, and like, I never was a fan of this season. I think while I was watching it as it was airing, I was never a fan of it, and yeah. Again, I'm definitely not. I gotta say, I used to consider the worst of the Dark Era portion. I used to think this was my least favorite season of the show. And well, again, there definitely are some aspects I can definitely appreciate, and it's always like a season. And I do know some people who think this is an underrated season. I'm unfortunately not one of those people. So I think the season's pretty bad. Not the worst season of Survivor, but again, there's still some good aspects of this season, honestly. Like, I definitely don't mind the whole young old thing aspect of the season. I think Willie Joe's one of the most hilarious first boots ever, and her moment is just hilarious. I definitely appreciate Marty more in this rewatch. I think he is a great character. It's kind of a shame we never see him return, actually. I still like Brenda on this rewatch. Jane has her moments. I actually like Holly more on the rewatch, and hell, I even like Sash, Chase, and Fabio more on rewatch, honestly. Though there are a solid final 3. Probably 5 was probably my favorite, honestly. Though still do like Chase and Sash. I think they're actually pretty underrated players. And that's really it, honestly. And it's one of those seasons that doesn't really have like a true stand-up moment, as is always talked about. And the moments it does have that are memorable are worse. Like, do you only need to remind you of the whole double quit that happens at the final 9? Yeah, I don't think any mentioned where basically 2 people just quit after a war challenge. One was like, it's just so hard, I'm gonna quit. And another person said the same thing, and so the people just quit the game and 11 days left. Honestly, like, it's a bit complicated thing, obviously, because, well, obviously I can definitely understand why, because obviously Survivor was Survivor, but I think just the way it was edited and handled was just like, wow. And I don't think we've ever seen Jeff as angry as he is, honestly. And this also has the contestant Purple Kelly, who is probably the who during this time on Survivor was the most underrated player of the show, to where she was so invisible they really call someone who ends up being invisible the Purple Edit. As well, I don't think that there are some players that are, of course, worse edited than Purple Kelly, especially in later seasons. It's hard to see why, like, my turn. It's not hard to see why, honestly. It's called the Purple Edit, honestly, saying how invisible she was in this season. What times they even joke and they yet she's even honestly there, honestly. And saying when you know what she went through this season, you kind of feel bad for her, and actually kind of makes sense to why she actually did end up quitting later in the season. I don't really have much positive to say about the other players this season. Again, Shannon, who's probably one of the worst players to appear on Survivor. Like, I don't even say I should say just watch what he does. He's kind of an asshole, but not the fun asshole. Jimmy John was fine. Jimmy T, Tyrone, Eve, Dan, Henry. I mean, Bianca has her moments. She was actually very edited this season, but I never was a fan of Bianca, honestly. Elena, Jill, Kelly B. I actually like Kelly B a lot less on this rewatch, actually. I used to be a big fan of Kelly B, but mostly because of her leg, but yeah. And of course, there's the whole medallion power, which basically has Tribe has advantage of the challenge. It was a twist that was so terrible to where basically one tribe had advantage in the challenge, and if they used it, they would give to the other tribe. And it was so terrible, they just got rid of it after the swap. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much about these seasons because, again, they're pretty terrible seasons. Nicaragua, for me, gets a 2 out of 10. And now we have Redemption Island, which is basically a season that brought back Buster Rob for his fourth time on the show, mind you, and Russell Hand for his third time in 4 seasons. And they were really on the Russell Hands hype train at this point, which thankfully it died down, honestly. But damn, they were really on the Russell Hands hype train. And of course, this season considered the twist Redemption Island, which basically someone who ends up getting voted out basically goes to Redemption Island, and then when the next person gets voted out, they basically be in a duel where the winner stays and the loser officially leaves. And then by the merge or by the final five, by final four, that person will get a chance to return to the game. And here's probably, I'm going to say, is my biggest Survivor unpopular opinion. I actually don't mind Redemption, actually. Yeah, if you ask me what is my Survivor unpopular opinion, I would say I don't mind Redemption Island, honestly. Honestly, it was definitely poorly executed. It was definitely poorly handled on this and South Pacific, though Blood vs. Water thankfully shows the potential it did have, and we'll definitely get into that. We'll talk about Blood vs. Water. But I actually don't mind it. Like, I'm one of those people that doesn't really mind when people return to the game, honestly. A lot of people say it's a detriment or it ruins it. I don't know why, I just never minded, honestly. I never was on that. I was like, oh, because the worst thing ever, someone return to the game. Of course, it leads to some moments like we saw in Edge Extinction, which, again, we'll get into talk about Edge Extinction. But, I never minded it. Hell, I think the child's actually a pretty interesting concept, actually. Again, I go agree, it was poorly executed, and Redemption Island, like, I would say, personally for me, Redemption Island is actually my favorite season of the Dark Era, honestly, aside from one other season. I think it's actually the only good season of Dark Era, but I think between, like, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 26, this was actually my favorite, actually. So I'm not saying much, I think this is not a good season, but it's the one I had the most enjoyment, mostly because it has one of the best premieres in Survivor history. I think it has, like, I totally forgot how amazing the premiere actually is. Where you get so many great dynamics, so many great back and forth, honestly. You can see Boss Ron, like, actually, kind of be actually not the most control in the first episode, honestly. And of course, the standing of Philip, who I was like, I enjoyed Philip more on this rewatch. I can't stand Philip, honestly. And well, he's definitely a divisive figure. For me, I actually didn't mind him, actually. Again, he doesn't get me annoying at times, but he definitely has his hilarious moments. Like, he's definitely one of those characters where I think he really embraces the character he is, and just can't help but enjoy it. And I can never see why people are annoyed. I can never see why I was annoyed by Philip when I first watched this season, but yeah. We're basically seeing him, Francesco, as you would call it, Christina, kind of from Alliance, and we're just going to try not to uphold Boston Rob and then like that, but they basically ended up turning on each other, but basically ended up voting against Philip. Yeah, which is, again, pretty hilarious. Think about it, which also is a pretty epic fight, honestly, and you can get an interesting map on next episode, and you also get a map landslide in the merch as well. Except for that, everything else is kind of boring. I think that Fair Tribe characters are just not the most interesting, honestly. Like, I do like David, and I do like Ralph. I definitely enjoyed Ralph in this rewatch, honestly. But other than that, and Mike to an extent as well, but other than that, really didn't get much of everyone else, honestly. Again, they end the friggin' challenge just to get rid of Russell, which is pretty hilarious, if you really think about it. And I kind of liked his real life with Ralph, honestly, for the short time that we got it. But again, this season's now being coronation for Boston Rob, where everyone just is so starstruck and so in love with him too. Again, I will say, I love Boston Rob on this season. Again, I think Boston Rob is one of those characters one of those players that I'm always going to be excited on anything that he's on. Like, I'm pretty sure he's the reason why Deal No Deal Island, as it's in right now, is as popular as it is, because Boston Rob is on it. Again, for the longest time, I had Boston Rob as my favorite player, and he's still in top 3, honestly. I say one player did top him, but we'll get into that when we talk about those seasons. But again, in terms of gameplay, he's fantastic. Like, aside from that, people are starting towards him, he does do some impressive work, honestly. Honestly, the buddy system is actually a pretty impressive move, though. You have to do a lot to actually make it impressive and work pretty well. I think he kind of proves that when it's orb, but we'll get into that. in terms of him being a character, he has so many great character moments in this season. He actually makes the season pretty watchable, honestly. Honestly, because of that. This season has probably one of the worst stretches of episodes ever, especially in the merge. And crazy because like I said, this is probably my least favorite of the. This probably is my favorite season of the Dark Era. But that's only because of Boston Rob and his character moments and his back and forth and seeing him win is very satisfying. And you still get the fun moments. You get a great premiere, a great blindside, the merch, and you do get the occasional fun character moment, but. Yeah, it's just a coronation for Boston Robin. There's some places I still do like as well, like I mentioned with Ralph and David. I think David has some fun moments. Mike has his moments. Again, Philip has his moments. And Natalie's a lot more bland than I remember her being, but I don't mind Natalie either. I don't mind Ashley. And it's the first time we also see Andrea, who ends up returning 2 more times, which is pretty insane actually. And it's kind of funny that, spoiler, the 3 times she ended up being on, the 3 times that she ended up being on Survivor are seasons that were kind of my least favorites. Which is kind of interesting, fortunately, but I don't mind Andrea, honestly. Yeah, she's always been just a fine character for me and a fine presence. But again, there was someone that really, like, stirred out. I don't know. I'm still debating on which time on the show actually is my favorite. I'll probably get to her 3rd time on the show, but I still don't mind her, honestly. And that's pretty much all I can say about the show, honestly. It is probably the best season of the Dark Era, aside from the actual good season of the Dark Era, but it's not actually why some people had the season as the worst season of this era, one of the worst seasons for a period. For me, it gets a 3 out of 10. And then we get to South Pacific. This next season, in my opinion, definitely didn't change a lot. I still think this is a bad season of Survivor. And while there definitely are some underrated aspects of the season, I will not lie on that. This season is filled with just so much crappiness around it that I just, even those I can't really appreciate much. So I do think this is still one of the worst seasons of Survivor, honestly. Again, this is kind of like mostly similar to last season where we got Coach and Ozzy returning, like 2 very random people. But they both have solid runs on this season, honestly. This is probably Ozzy's the closest to Ozzy's that close comes actually winning this season. But we'll get into that in a little bit. And then Coach and his, who definitely has some good moments. Like Coach is still Coach, honestly, but him basically treating everything like a cult and all that stuff. It makes for moments still just like, really. But I'm saying the whole cult staff like really brings the season down. Honestly, it really brings the season down. Honestly, and I'm pretty sure. And I can read on that because it makes some moments that are just very uncomfortable and just odd. But yeah, the way that Coach brings legend to certain aspects, which honestly ended up being the big downfall to him, honestly. But we'll get into that. And there's definitely some characters I still do enjoy, honestly. Honestly, like Christine and Stacey, who were fun pre-jury characters, especially Stacey with the whole mean thing about Coach or Benjamin, which is one of the most meaningful things I ever. I'm pretty sure. Know about that? I also did my Michaela as well. I thought she's someone that definitely had attention. I think this was the first instance of the whole Party 2.0 type of thing. I think Jim has his moments as well. Cochran was a great president and had a pretty interesting underdog run, which led to Caramon, which we'll get into. Honestly, and Ozzy also has his moments as well, especially seeing him return to the game twice and was actually close to winning this time, which is insane. Albert also has his moments as well, and I actually didn't mind Sophie this time around, honestly. Like, for the longest time, I thought Sophie was the worst winner in this round of history. And, well, yeah, she definitely has her bragging moments and her whiny moments. I don't know if it's because of the fact that, honestly, we saw her win the war, but I didn't have any appreciation for Sophie. Again, she's definitely not my favorite winners, honestly, at least if we're judging for just this one season. I think she's fine. She's perfectly fine. Fine, like, again, a perfectly fine winner, so that's all I can really say, honestly. Again, they bring Redemption Island, which, again, pretty much bad SQ as it was last season, honestly. You know, except I had that incredible Stacy moment and Arthur trying to lie about being blindsided his first time, which was pretty hilarious, honestly. At least the season doesn't feel as badly paced in the merge, honestly, to where they just like rush through a couple episodes because they realized that it's going to be enough prolonging, which was when that happening. The other plays are just whatever, boring. The only one I really just found someone that ended up being under-edited, like Rick. I totally forgot how under-edited Rick was in this season. Same with Keith and Whitney. Even Dawn to an extent, honestly. Which kind of makes you question why she was actually my favorites. Honestly. And then we get to Brandon Hands. Oh my god, fucking Brandon Hands. Oh my god, fucking Brandon Hands. Yeah, they really want to keep going on with the whole Hands name, honestly, too. It's had to bring back Russell Hands' freaking nephew. And they literally put it in his job description. Russell Hands' nephew. Like, really. And you can tell that I really could not stand Brandon on this season. Like, I'm sure nowadays he's probably a great guy in real life. Like, this is obviously not against him as a person in real life, obviously. Like, see, basically the players that don't like or don't enjoy, honestly, I don't obviously test in real life, because I'm sure the majority of these players are like good people in real life. Obviously. But I guess it's more judging based on how he was in this season, and I just didn't care for him, honestly. Honestly, I guess he was the one big on the whole cult, especially in his constant back and forth, like, I want to be the Hands! I want to be the villain, like my Uncle Russo! And I was like, I want to better the Hands, I want to be a good guy. And it's so constant, so back and forth throughout the season, and it's just like, ugh, I get it, seriously. It's way more gets pretty tedious, honestly. It does lead to an issue where he actually wins immunity, but actually gives it out to Albert and leads to his downfall. Which definitely is a fun drama, I will not lie on that, but aside from that, yeah. And I guess at this time, I can definitely see why Coach actually lost this time. I used to not like, why don't Coach lose this season, seriously? But honestly, after watching it, like, yeah, I can see why. But yeah, this is not good. It gets a 1.5 out of 10. And now we get to Survival One World. You wanna know the saddest thing about this season? This is the season where I got my One World name. A season called One World. This is how I got my One World name. And you know what's sad? This is this season that's honestly in debate with Thailand as my least favorite season of Survivor. I am dead serious. This season is just boring, boring. And it's pretty fortunate because, again, as well as that's filled with some solid contestants. Again, Serena Chelsea I enjoyed. Again, so I think Kiss Brown's on the most interesting personality in the world, at least on this season. I will actually definitely was one of the most impressively dominant games in Survivor history. And of course, got Tarzan and Trizan as well. Got the hilarious moment where basically a tribe actually won immunity, but decided to give up immunity. Yeah, that actually happened on this season. And it does have an interesting concept of having both tribes be on one beach and having different rules, different techniques, and different things. And when it comes to that, it's like, I can definitely see the great concept of that. Fortunately, it leads to some pre-playing players that I totally got how bland they are, some players that got how likable they are. And of course, got Colton, who, again, while I'm sure he's probably nowadays a great person in real life. On this season, he's one of the most whiny, unlikable, and just terrible people to be on that show, especially with his brace stays towards Bill in this season. Honestly, and I mean, also got Troy says, like I said, you do got some good moments in this season. I'm gonna hold Troy's hand. This is my island thing, and of course, Cat's Blindside was pretty good. You know, it was also a pretty memorable moment as well. There are memorable moments of the season that do. I would say I'm probably a bit better than Thailand, so I don't think it's not my least favorite season of the show. But there are some aspects that have been just so boring, so uninteresting, and I just struggled to actually get through this season actually this time. And that's why I don't want to feel watching this season of Survivor. So yeah, Survivor World gets a 1 out of 10. And now, thank God, we actually gonna get to these 6 seasons. We're gonna get to a season that probably safe to Survivor, honestly. As of course, the last 4 seasons, people are like, oh, it's probably gonna get good again. Maybe we'll get to a great season with Philippines. A season that I remember being like super high on when I first watched it, and to be honest, I am still super high on the season actually. So what I think is I actually appreciate it a bit more on this rewatch. This was the first season that, well, the feature format is now, of course, a known thing nowadays on Survivor. This is the first time they brought that back since season 8, which was like pretty surprising actually. and then he basically they decided to bring back three formerly evacuated players, and Michael Skupin, who this is more judging based on this season than how he was now. He's nowadays. Because I really don't want to say what he was nowadays. I would just look it up. Then we have who was the first evacuated in Australian outback. So I think at this point it makes sense to bring him back. You had Jonathan Penner, who was evacuated in Micronesia, and this was his third time returning. And then of course, you got Russell Swan, who was evacuated in Samoa. Definitely a very exciting aspect. And then his season that from the first that had a basically got a tribe, the Mad Thing tried to end up having an epic downfall where they pretty much lost every challenge during the short run. You also get a fun episode of basically Zayn trying to was a likable person, ask people to vote him, and it's like, and then he's like shocked that he actually did it because like they like me so much, they'll never run me off, and they run him off. That's probably the least memorable person, but she still has her moments. And she definitely has her fun moments as well. Again, Russell Swan again. It's unfortunate he never actually. Yeah, he's definitely one of the most unlikely players to be on the tribe that he was. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Russell playing again on that season that doesn't obviously have something that's happened. But it makes for a very fun downfall and makes for some pretty emotional moments throughout the season as well. And then you have Denise and Malcolm, where basically Denise ends up winning the season, which I'll get into. And then Malcolm, who basically is probably the fan favorite of the season, obviously, who ends up returning next season. And Malcolm is a very incredible player. He is one of the most likable people to be on Survivor. Has some pretty great moments, some pretty likable moments. He's one of those guys that just, like, he is just one of those guys that you just can't help but love whenever he's on screen. And he doesn't prove that here, even in Camp Mode, and even in Game Changers. And of course, we got the Callbout Tribe, which basically got Dawson, who is more memorable for her actually kissing Jeff Probst on her way out than really much anything else. You got Dana, who actually has some moments, but of course she ended up leaving the game. Katie also had a fun downfall as well. Jonathan Penner. He still is very messy in the game, still is always probably going to be targeted in any given season, but he still has many great character moments, many great one-liners, many great hilarious moments. But when he shouts, Denise! During his last rank confessional when he feels Denise, Denise! And then of course there's Jeff Kent, who of course has one of the most memorable final words, and his blinds and his vote-outs one of the most crazy, amazing vote-outs in the history of Survivor. And then got Carter, who was a lot more underrated, I actually remember him being but he still has his fun moments. And you got a champion tribe, which doesn't mean the first instance of a tribe that actually did not go to tribal council at all during the merge. I think, of course, we see a few other instances in later seasons, but this was the first true instance that this happened on the show. And of course, we got Skupin, who, obviously, despite all stuff he's done nowadays, was definitely a great presence on this season. So it makes sense he was going to make a deep run this season, and he does, honestly. And you got RC, who actually was going to compete with his water. And it was also a fun present, was a little fun foil and had a fun blindside. Ours was a lot more under than I remember being, and he's probably the closest to a dud on this season, but he still has his moments. Pete also has his moments as well. I can also say I probably enjoyed Anne Maria more in this rewatch, actually. I mean, she's probably not someone I really... Like, I never used to hate Anne Maria, honestly, and while she definitely has her moments, I definitely just enjoyed her a lot more on both her seasons, actually. Then you got Lisa, who's probably in debate with Malcolm as probably my favorite player on this season, who has probably one of the most emotional stories with her being, of course, a former child actress on the Facts of Life, and going for the experience and just learning more about her, and she has many incredible moments. Honestly, it's one of those kids where I think she probably should have won the season, honestly, but she still has many great moments. And of course, there's the winner, Denise, who, I think the sole reason she only won was because she survived every tribal council. But I've always liked Denise, honestly. I'm definitely not complaining with her winning, honestly. She definitely had a good story, definitely has many great character moments and many fun moments as well. Has great back and forth along to play throughout the season, so I'm definitely not complaining with Denise winning, honestly. And I'm not being surprised about it, honestly, but I'm definitely not complaining about it now. Again, this next season we get many great vote-outs, many epic blindsides. Again, the Jeff Kent vote-outs, one of the most crazy back and forth tribals that you will ever see on Survivor. And Yeah, you also got the whole Russell's downfall, got Malcolm's downfall, where basically he ends up with immunity, ends up not fully committing to his niece, which leads to his downfall as well. Again, the whole Sarah told Dawson kissing Jeff Probst on the way out, still one of the most hilarious moments in Survivor history. Like, it's one of those seasons I don't really have like many qualms or have many like issues with the season, honestly. So, screw it. Philippines gets a 10 out of 10. Now, personally, if I was doing any season of Survivor that definitely dropped huge on Rewatch, I would say it's Caramon, honestly. I think I'm being super high on this season, honestly. I think I'm probably giving like a 8 or 8.5 out of 10. I mean, I think I remember being like actually pretty, no, not thinking it's a great season. I remember being like still high on the season, actually. When I did a couple of past rankings of Survivor seasons. But on this rewatch, it really dropped. Like, it really dropped. I can definitely see a lot of the criticism people had. Of course, they were trying to like bring back all the crazy chaos that came from the first season, which is still be one of the best seasons of Survivor. But they did the wrong thing. But no, of course, they did it wrong. But of course, they're bringing back players that shouldn't be considered favorites. There's definitely a couple, obviously, but most of them are just like, really? And bringing fans that aren't really, when you actually think about it, aren't really true fans of the show. Or there's some, I think some even admit to not even watch Survivor and really think about it. So, yeah. This is one of the seasons I'm probably not going to say much about, aside from certain moments. Again, like with the favorite trailer, got Francesca, who was the freaking first Brew Dungeon Island. Guess what? She ends up being the first Brew again this season. We got Brandon Hands, who has a crazy downfall, who basically just fucking loses it on the tribe, and he was still not mentally best from his last time on the show, to where he really dumps the tribe's rights. He really screams at everybody, especially Philip, and the pros even like massage his shoulders to where they end up having a formal vote, which led him to get voted out unanimously. And Corinne, Corinne, who is probably one of the few favorites I'm actually okay with. Like, Corinne's also has great moments. She's definitely one of the better parts of the season. Like, kind of like Toro rivalry fill up, and also Phil I can kind of understand, and of course Malcolm from the recent season. So yeah, Andrea, Brenda, Eric. I mean, I'm definitely not playing, but we'll get into that. Don, Rayleigh, and Cochran. I can definitely see, honestly, and Cochran definitely again. Those definitely some favorites are still good, honestly. Like Malcolm is, like I said, I feel being season 1 is going to be a great character, a great player in any season he's in, and this season definitely proves that. Dawn even has some moments, honestly, like especially relationship with Brenda, and of course the whole teeth incident, the whole rotator incident, which leads to one of the most cruel moments in the show's history. Which I'll talk about. Which basically, when Dawn makes Final Trump Council, she ended up training Brenda, and then they had a moment where basically Dawn lost her retainer, also teeth, and then Brenda helped her find it. And she learned how to like take out her teeth out of Tribal Council. No good that she was a thing. And you got Cochran, who basically has a great story, who basically ends up being winning a lot of challenges. He ends up making it in do enough for the game by not having any votes, which is kind of opposite to him seeing like a vote almost every Tribal Council he went to last season, and won unanimously. Which again is one of the most impressive games, one of the most impressive arcs. Of course, the only issue is that it was one of the most predictable wins in Survivor history. That's really the only issue I have, but I'm happy with John winning, honestly. And Andrea also fine this season, still debating which one runs they go the best. Malcolm has his moments. Philip just there, honestly. Brandon Hands, Francis doesn't say anymore. Don was there. Brendan and Eric, I totally forgot how under-edited Eric and Brenda ended up being on this season. Like, I totally forgot, which was kind of shocking, honestly, considering Brenda was a fan favorite on her season. Season definitely had some good moments, but she ends up being under-edited too. I think her only memorable moments really her actual blindside and her reaction than really anything she did on the season. And considering that Eric went from like a fan on this first season to an actual favorite, like that could make for an incredible storyline. Like, this is definitely one of the biggest instances of wasted potential out of any season of Survivor. Because fortunately, we don't get him focused much at all, honestly. He's not really the big focus on playing anything on the show. And he ends up getting unsaid and most evacuated evacuate the finale. Yeah. Unfortunately, the fans don't much better. You know, honestly, like Allie, Hope, Shamar, Laura, not the most interesting characters. Again, Shamar gets evacuated for just having sand in his eye, which is pretty strange. Again, Matt was fine. Julia was there. Michael was there. Of course, the only memorable fans were really like Reynold, Eddie, and Sherry. And Sherry was really only memorable for her first half, for actually being a dominant player in the first half, but ended up pretty much being a girl in the second half of the season. But Eddie and Reynold are probably the only players that are worth remembering, where Eddie plays one of the most terrible final jury games where he puts wrong in the every Trump Council. Like, it's shocking he may as wrong he did, honestly. But Reynold's one of the more memorable players, honestly, to where he's a very likable player, was definitely on the bottom, he definitely has his moments, like people are still hoping that he has to make a return, and honestly, it's hard to see why. But yeah, season was boring. Doing Corbell Trump Council was the Free Amigos Trump Council, where Eddie and Malcolm end up playing the idols, and then Philip gets blindsided, which I remember being like super, yes! And it's true. Like, the truth is, and there are some solid moments in the post-merge, again, that brings reaction to a blindside was pretty emotional. There's definitely also some fun character moments here and there. But that's real all I can say about Karen Moon. It's definitely not a season worth remembering. It gets a 2 out of 10.